life. It's always this moment which really scares me when I do these live conferences. Hi, I'm Kirsten Buchholzer. Who doesn't know me, especially who's from the English side. I'm the head of the German Tarot Association. And today I have the great pleasure to talk to Kim Arnold, who is a major tarot event organizer, we decided to call her. And it's a great pleasure for me to have you on the line. Hi, Kim.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for coming at such close short notice as well, because you just did another live session I just heard. You do live meditations now on Facebook.
Yes, well, I used to have a meditation group, which I've been running for quite a few years. And my ladies and gentlemen were saying that they really missed it. So I tried to record them. And every time I tried to record to send it to them, I kept tripping up on words. So I didn't know how to edit because I'm not very good at things like technology. So I decided to go on Facebook Live on my Psychic Cafe community page. So on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. UK time, I do a little bit of chat, usually find something quite amusing and funny that's happened in the week. And this morning it was about men on bikes wearing lycra trousers, because everyone here seems to have a bike, and it's like the Tour de France where I live now. Everyone's out on bikes because they're not allowed to go to work. And then I do a meditation about 15 minutes just for people to reconnect with themselves in this very difficult time. So yes, I just finished that at 3:30. So it's a busy afternoon.
Yes, it's great that you took the time for this talk anyway. Where does this name, I always wanted to ask you, Psychic Cafe come from?
Well, I started the Psychic Cafe, God, it must be, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. And I used to have a shop, and attached to the shop was I had a big therapy room. And the lady next door, she had a cafe, and she became a very, very good friend of mine. And we talked one day, and I said, how about I run a psychic night from the cafe one evening a month? So the idea was that every month we would have a different subject. So it might be tarot, it might be scrying, it might be dowsing pendulums, whatever, every subject. Then every month we would have coffee and cake and an hour of psychic development. And it became massive. And we have a book chain here called Waterstones. And Waterstones got in touch with me and said, would I run them from their stores? So then I had to find other people all around the country to run the Psychic Cafe. So from this little idea came this massive, massive, massive project where I had what I called licensees that would run them in Manchester and Liverpool and Birmingham and Cornwall, all over the country. And then we had some in Spain. It was like mad. And then every month I would write the scripts, and every licensee and myself, we would run our groups, and they were really very, very, very popular. People just loved them. But I created a bit of a monster because it was never intended to be what it ended up as. And it was just me running this. So everybody assumes that I've got this office with, a whole team of people doing this stuff. And there wasn't. It was me doing everything. And then I would have to go and visit, the different nights where people had these events going on. I'd have to go and check they were being run properly. And it just became, after a few years, I ran it for about 3 to 4 years. It just became too much. So I had to slowly, as licensees, they were a licensee for 3 years, and then we would, as the licenses run out, we didn't renew them because I just couldn't cope with it. I was like a lunatic. I was like a mad woman. I couldn't cope. So the Psychic Cafe sort of slowly shrunk and dwindled, but it could have been massive. But, well, it was at one time, but it was just too much. So the Psychic Cafe name sort of stayed with me,
Mm-hmm.
and we got into all sorts of thing about patenting the name and copywriting the stuff, and it became this big machine that didn't need to be there. So I decided after a few years that I just didn't want to be doing that anymore, and it stopped me from developing anything else. So the Psychic Cafe name stayed because it's me and it's there, and people know me as Psychic Cafe, and that's why the Psychic Cafe community, it's still live, but it's not as it was 15, 20 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time ago.
It was I'm quite old now, Kirsten.
Oh, no. That's not what I wanted to say. I was more very impressed that it worked already in those times, because in Germany there was not something like this happening then.
Exactly, yes.
And I really wanted to talk to you and present you to the German tarot scene, because you did something we here in Germany are not able to manage. You organized, or are still organizing, not only one but many major tarot events in Britain, in Switzerland, and you're very successful with this. And this is totally impressive, because we only had one major event in 2009 for the 100th birthday of the Wade Smith deck. And since then, we've never managed to do something like you do every year, not only once, but twice at least. And so I really wanted to talk to you about this. And it would be very interesting for the German people, and I'm sure for British people who are watching now as well, how you came up with this idea to do this.
Okay, so it's going back to my shop. It seems that a lot of things stemmed from when I had my shop, that the church found me, and not in a good way. Okay, so then I went through a very long period of intimidation, of bullying, of just really wicked stuff, that the church said that I was doing evil work, that I was conjuring up Satan and the devil and all of this, all of these.
Sorry, but when was this?
Again, it was about 18 years ago, 19 years ago.
Crazy.
And there was one evangelist church in particular that really targeted me, and they used to put nails in my tires on my car, and it was awful. And it got so bad that this evangelist preacher, he's put letters through my door, found out where I lived, and my husband and I actually went to a lawyer and said, what can we do? And the lawyer read the letters, and he said, this is very slanderous. He said, but I have to tell you, the first thing he said is, do you have at least £100,000 that you don't need? He said, and if you have any skeletons in your closet, they will find it. He said, and it will be like you against this massive organization. And he said to me, he said, my advice to you is just, walk away from this. He said, because you will never win against them. So we came home, and we had to go to London to see this specialist lawyer. And my husband said to me, he said, Kim, he said, if you want to borrow money against our house, he said, you can do that. And I thought, that's a big risk for us, for a principle and for a point, that I would put our family home on the line to fight these people that are ignorant, basically. So I came back, and I was so frightened to go in my shop because of the things that happened, that I sort of had a little bit of a mini breakdown. And my husband said to me, he's such a wonderful man. He said to me, you've got two choices, Kim. Shut the shop, walk away, go back and be a legal secretary, which is what I used to do many years ago. He said, or you fight back, you find a way. And I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start the biggest conference the world has ever seen, all dedicated to tarot. and I'm going to make my conference so big that the church can't touch me, because I will have so many people backing me up and supporting me that I won't be on my own anymore. So the first tarot conference, so that was in the March, and in the October I launched the first conference. And the thing was, I didn't really know anyone then. I had a few connections in the book publishers, but I didn't really know anyone. And someone introduced me to Geraldine Beskin at Atlantis Bookshop, who agreed to come and do a sales table. And I found this beautiful venue in London, cost a fortune. And I launched the first tarot conference, and there was about probably 30 people there. And it was only ever meant to be a one-off, because I thought it was just to prove a point. But I must just mention, the night before the conference, we had a very big newspaper here called The Independent. And I had a phone call from The Independent asking me about this big tarot conference in London. Well, it wasn't that big, actually. So my husband and I were in a hotel overnight because it was in London. I don't live in London. And we ordered the newspaper, and it slipped under the door. And just before the conference, I'm opening the pages looking for this little article about my conference. And I turned it over, and my husband said to me, "What would you like to get from this magazine?" I said, "I want that preacher to be eating his breakfast, open the page and see me looking back at him." So when we opened the paper, there was a whole page called Tarot Comes Out of the Suburbs and into the 20th century. And
That's brilliant.
Massive article. And this article went worldwide. So it was a springboard for everything. So that was how it started. And then we came away from the first conference, and I thought, oh, that's good. I've done that. I feel good about that. And then people were writing, "I didn't know about the conference. When is the next one? When is the next one?" So number 2 happened, and this year we're number 17. So it's every year it's just grown a little bit better.
So you organize your tarot event in London always for each year, one tarot card of the major arcana. Yeah. So this year is the Star. You didn't start with the Fool?
No, we didn't. And the reason was because we were only when we got to year 10, the Wheel of Fortune. So we wanted to have a big, so I never put the tarot card to the event until year 10. And year 10, I wanted to make a big birthday of the tarot conference. So we hired a private pod on the London Eye, the big wheel in London, to represent the Wheel of Fortune. So we had a private pod, and then we went in the London Eye, and we went round on this pod. So it was number 10 was the Wheel of Fortune. So actually we only started at number 10, putting the event to the card. So that was why. So when I get to 22, we're going to start at 0 again, and I'm going to catch up on the Fool and then work my way through to where we started.
So I can still see all the numbers 1 to 9. That's perfect.
Yes, exactly. So
I didn't know this. I'm really looking forward to this. For everybody who doesn't know, I have been now joining the conference, I don't know, for 5 or 6 years, I think. Yes, I'm not quite sure. And I love to go there. It's my major event in October. And it's so nice because right now there are no longer only 30 people, but I think last year there were about
140, I think.
Yeah, I was just going to say much over 100 people, and it was really, really good. It was about the tower, and we had a lot of fun with the tower.
Yes.
Little did we know what was coming
exactly.
in 2020.
Yeah. It's true. And do you know, I think because this year is I think we're now in the tower, we're still in that tower energy, aren't we? Yeah. And so the foundations were already rumbling when we had the conference. We didn't know, as you say. Yeah. And now we're crashing.
So we were just before we went live, we were just talking about that this year the conference is going to be the Star, and yes. We you said that you're very optimistic about making it happen, and I'm too very optimistic. But how is it right now to organize such a major event in these crazy times?
Well, I think because my conference, I'm already working on next year, the year before. So last year I was already working on this year. But of course, what I did do is that I had international speakers coming over to the UK. But the first thing I did when I realised that we were in a pandemic here and that everything was so uncertain was that I cancelled all the international speakers. And the reason for that was I didn't want people to get involved in booking flights, in having, just having that distress of making major plans to come overseas from America and Canada. So the idea was that I would keep it close, and so the majority of the key speakers are coming. Of course, you're speaking at our lunchtime speaker, but the majority of speakers are from the UK. So if we have to cancel, and I really hope not, and I don't think we will, but if we do, it's not the end of the world. It's not, it's just people are not having to plan too much, and the expense as well, not to put too much expense into it. But it is a worrying time. I get these sweats where I think, oh my God, is it going to happen? And then I think, no, I feel it here that it will. But as I said to you before, it will be smaller this year. It'll be the smallest one that I've done for probably the last, 10 years, deliberately, because I still think that even if we go ahead, there is still going to be some nervousness around crowds, lots of people. I want this to be a conference of space and energy, and and I want it to be inspiring, because I have something very, very special this year for our Friday evening, which I'm not going to give too much away at the moment, but it's something I've never done before. And I just think it's going to truly enlighten everybody that comes to that conference, because it's going to be so different, card related, but very, very different.
Okay.
I'm really excited about that, because I just feel that with a smaller group, I need to make more. I make effort every year. Please don't think I don't, but it's like I need to make this special for those that are coming. So that's exactly what I plan to do.
Well, I think every conference has been very special. I love to be enlightened on the Friday evening. Enlightenment is a good word, because it's about the star this year. And since it is about the star, I'm quite hopeful. It's a card of hope that it's going to happen.
Yes.
Just before we mention other events you do, which people did you have from America and Canada? Because I'm very envious about this.
Okay. Well, I had Ethany Dawn, and she has a massive following, and Liz Worth she was from Canada. She's also got a very good following, and Cooch and Victor Daniels, who did I can't remember the name of the deck now, but they did a beautiful deck as well. So they were the people that were coming. And also a lady, Deborah Koff Chaplin, she does beautiful singing bowls and energy work and tarot and all this. So, that we did actually talk about if we could do like live video links, but I just don't think it's the same. I think the conference is very hands-on. So, some of these speakers will be invited back next year, and some will change, but there's certain people that I really want to come, and hopefully we can organize that for next year.
Yeah, that would be great. I really want to see Ethany. She's very interesting.
Yeah.
So who was well, that's not a good question to ask, but who has made a major impression on you during all these years as a key speaker?
Okay, well, I, as someone that doesn't speak on the live platform anymore, but a guy called Mark McElroy, and he was. I went to the New York studio event, and Mark was speaking there, and he just absolutely blew me away. He was funny, he was knowledgeable, he was engaging. I just loved him. But he came over a couple of times in the early days, but he's sort of retired from the circuit now, from the tarot circuit. But you know, Mary Greer, Rachel Pollock, they're always they can come anytime they want because they're just amazing. And Kathleen Matthews, you know, our own homegrown star. These people that have solid knowledge of the tarot, and you know, and I do quite like what we call the old school. You know, the when I first learned tarot, I was living in London, and I studied at a place called the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain. And in the olden days, you had to be invited to be taught there, not just tarot, but mediumship and clairvoyance and all this. And anyway, again, that's another live video of how I ended up there. But I was invited to go along and be taught, and I was taught by people that none of the names you would recognize, but from people that were part of the Hermetic Order, part of the Pamela and Coleman Smith groups. You know, these were old people then that were people that had studied with A. Waite and all of this. And I feel so blessed that I had that grounding of the disciplines of the old ways. But that's not to say that I don't really appreciate the new young terrorists coming through that have great ideas and inspiration. But it's just merging the two together, I think, for me, is just something that I just feel very blessed that I had that. So when I get what I call the old school teachers on the stage, they're the ones that enchant me. They're the ones that I just want to know. I just want to know more.
Yeah, and you have one very old school German tarot
yes.
expert just behind you.
Oh yes, Mr. Herman Heindel. Yes, he was wonderful. And the thing about Herman, I mean, you know Herman, that he told a very good story.
Yes.
So we used to talk about tarot, then he'd go off like this, and then we'd be talking about something else. But his life story was fascinating. Not only his beautiful artwork and his deck and how he created that, but the story about his youth was, you know, he was telling us about that time, and he was just a real gentle, beautiful man.
Yeah, I really liked him very much as well.
Yeah.
I looked up all the websites, and I thought we can briefly browse through your websites. So
Okay.
people, especially from Germany, again, I know all the British people know all your sites, can see where they can catch up with you and your events, because perhaps some other Germans than only me and a few from the Tarot Association will come and join.
Yes.
Not this year perhaps, but the year after, when you can again be making bigger events. I just need to check how I get this here. I need to go here. Yes, and here. And here. And this is the wrong one. I have to go here. Just a moment. Yeah, alles klar.
Hey.
That was my boy. So I hope you can see this now with the URL. Here on the side of the Tarot Conference CO UK, you can catch up with all the information for the coming conference, which is on the 9th and 10th of October in London, right?
That's right, yes.
And the speakers are all updated.
Yeah. And we have a pre-conference event on the 8th, Thursday the 8th. That was introduced about 5-6 years ago, really for the international people that came to the UK and just wanted to meet people before, but now it's really part of the conference. But the pre-conference event is always a good evening as well.
Yeah, I've been there for the first time last year, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very nice, good food.
Yeah, and relaxing. Yes, it's a relaxing. Yes.
And we saw the first issue of the tarot, no, esoterical. I'm sorry, I still can't pronounce it.
The esoterical.
The esoterical, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Which is this website here. You just said you can't do so much with events right now, but you're very busy and already published the second edition of the esoterical. So I'm sure not many German readers do know it. What is can they expect in this issue?
Okay, so it's full of reviews and it's full of articles. We have this great section in the magazine called Go Follow, which is all the big names on Instagram, people that are, that we think that you should follow because they have something worthwhile to tell us and to share in the tarot world.
That's a great idea.
So we have taroscopes, we have agony aunts and uncles, so you can ask questions, and then we choose certain questions every issue. If anyone has any worries, and that's not only personal worries that can be answered by the cards, but also we have a section where you can ask the experts. So if you have a particular card, for example, that you get stuck on or that you struggle with, then ask us a question and we'll pop it in the magazine and one of our experts will answer. But we're always coming up, this is just issue 2, but we're always evolving the magazine. Stephen Bright, who is my co-partner, I really have to give Stephen all the credit because he is the creative one. He's absolutely amazing in the way that he sees, how he sees the vision of the magazine. And he's a wonderful partner to work with. So there's so much. We've literally today, just before I came on, issue 1, we're doing what we call a lockdown because we're here locked down. We can't go out. So issue 1, we've got a lockdown special offer of just £2.50, which are just for the lockdown special. So it's issue 1 you can get for £2.50 and as a digital version, and then normally it should be £4. So the new version is £4, but the lockdown special is £2.50, just so that people can download and engage in it. But it really is, even if I say so myself, I'm so proud of this publication. It really is something very special.
Yeah, it's really lovely, and I really love this image on the second edition. It's very well, I don't have a word right now, spacey.
So this is from the Starman Tarot by David DeAngelis. He's our cover artist.
Yeah, he was there last year at the conference, I remember.
Yeah.
It was really, really great. And as you said, so we here in Germany can get both editions digitally on this website, esoterical.com. But
.com, yeah.
Again on our in our Facebook group again.
Yes.
And perhaps we can even link this somehow to the association side. I have to think about that.
Okay, yeah.
The other thing you do is in London as well. It's the Tarot Festival, is this right?
Yeah. So the Tarot Festival, I felt that I wanted to offer something that was not so structured as a conference. So the Tarot Festival is all about tarot, but you can come in and you just pay on the door. You can buy in advance, but you can pay on the door. You can come, you can go, you can have readings. The workshops are shorter and not so intense. So it's a bit like a psychic fair, but all tarot and oracle based. That's the best way to describe it. So the Tarot Festival is, it's just a very casual event. But interestingly enough, we couldn't find a venue this year. We were looking for a venue and just could not find anything suitable. And I spoke to a friend. I said, I just don't think it's going to happen. And I thought, you know what, I'm just not going to bother this year. And then of course the coronavirus, because it would be now. It's usually April, May time.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So maybe something was telling me, just don't don't push yourself too much, because it's not going to happen.
That's very good. You're very lucky that it didn't happen then. But you're planning it for the next year again.
Yeah, we're planning it for next year. We've already got the date for 2020. It's April sometime, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
You mean for 21?
21. Yes, sorry. I think it's April the 17th. I think.
Okay. And usually you do it in a hotel as well, like the.
No, usually we did last year, but I didn't like it because it felt too structured. But prior to that, we found these really quirky little venues in London, but we had too many people, so we outgrew every venue we had. We were too many people, so I really need to think about. It might just be in London, but maybe on the outskirts of London next year, rather than central London, because then we can get bigger venues for not ridiculous, money, basically.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I just noted down the date, see if I can join. Well, the other thing which is really interesting for us here in Germany, the other stuff is of course also interesting, is that you're organizing the festival in Switzerland. I have, it's called the Tarot Fest. And I think you don't do it every year, right?
No, we don't. I approached Wicker a few years ago because I really wanted to do an international conference. And I knew that Wicker had the connections with the castle. Obviously, she's moved the Hexham Museum there now. And that was how that came along. But again, with the Swiss one, I mean, I really have to give the credit to Wicker because she worked so incredibly hard for that. And then I just turn up and swan around. So, but Wicker does work incredibly hard. But together we work with, the promotion and getting the word out there, bringing the speakers in. But the groundwork is really all down to Wicker. But we'll see what happens next year. I think the world is going to be a very different place next year. So we'll see what the plans are going to be. We haven't actually planned anything for next year yet. We might. I'm very vaguely talking about doing a tarot tour because Wicker has Mary Lenormand's actual tarot cards in the museum. The actual cards that she used.
Really?
Yeah, they are stunning. They're beautiful, and she's got some really old decks. In fact, we're doing an interview with Wicker on the cards in the museum. But so I'm just trying to think of just up the road, not far, about an hour away from where the castle is. There's a castle. I can't get to it now. Oh, it'll come to me in a minute. Sorry, it's my brain's gone dead.
Okay.
But there's another place. There's a museum of tarot in Switzerland, which sorry, it's just gone from my head. But I will pop it on your website and let you know, because I'm thinking about maybe trying to link some things together and doing a tarot tour of sorts. But we'll see. Again,
that would be great. As I said, perhaps we can even combine this with a little drive to Germany.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Because I think we focus a lot on Italy and Milan and with tarot, but it's all around Europe. It's massive. So.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. And you, coming to speak of other places than Italy, you're going to be finally, no, not finally, or is it a key speaker in Switzerland? You organize a lot, but you never do a lot of talks yourself, right?
Yeah, it's funny that. Yeah, I know. I think I prefer to be behind the scenes. I should speak more because I do speak, and I run a lot of things privately, but I just think leave the stage to the big names. But yes, I am the key speaker, so I'm actually doing, I think, 2 or 3 workshops at the Stockholm event. So when you come, Kirsten, you can see what I'm like when I speak. I get very distracted. That's the problem. You see, I start talking about something, then I go off here.
think you speak extremely coherently here right now. And I'm sure it's going to be really, really good. Yeah, the conference was supposed to happen, I think, next weekend, but it had to be
Yes, it
cancelled.
was. Yeah, it was May. Yeah, May, second week of May, second
It's
weekend.
still a bit time, some time away. Yeah, and now it's going to happen at Halloween in Stockholm. And yeah, I'm sure Rose would be very pleased if people from Germany would join as well. We have a Danish member, perhaps he is interested in this. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to see you there as a key speaker.
Yeah.
And Tony Poole is coming as well. I know she's living in Munich, but I've never met her.
Oh, okay. You need to meet up. I'm going to be talking, because of it's Halloween weekend. I've decided I'm going to do a workshop on shadow cards and all what I call the darker cards that people sometimes are a little bit anxious about. So that's what my workshops will be based on.
That's really interesting. Yeah, Munich is even further away than London from Hamburg, I have to say.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Right. I always assume you're next to each other, you know.
Yeah, but Hamburg is higher on the map than London.
Okay.
And Munich is it's in the south of Germany. It's a different place.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think did I miss out on any event which is coming up?
No, I think that's enough. Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for mentioning everything, and thank you for your time in interviewing me. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I look forward to seeing you in October. Fingers crossed that it happens, but I will do everything I can to make it happen. So I look forward to seeing you.
I am very optimistic that it's going to happen, and I'm very pleased you took the time and talked to me. So now people have a face, and hopefully joining you in London, and we get more and more European, even though the borders are closing down everywhere.
Oh, that's another story.
Exactly.
Another story, yes. Okay. Thank you, Kirsten.
So I will finish off with a live talk, and I just need to check where this is. Yeah. I would say we say just hold on. It's nicer for this. Yeah, like this. So we can say goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, goodbye. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
I hope you enjoyed this out there, and talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Bye.